Hello, welcome to Fox Chase Farm. Today we're going to be discussing animal adaptations. So, what exactly are adaptations? Adaptations are essentially something that an animal has to make it fit in its environment. So, we're going to be discussing a few different adaptations that a bunch of different animals have. So, while we're discussing this, why don't you think of some adaptations that maybe you have? So we're going to first look at a few animal tracks, and we're going to see what made their adaptation be, but then we also might discuss what the animal actually is. So the first track is this right here. So what are some distinctive tracks or characteristics you might see of this track? So we see it is quite large, so it's from a larger animal, but also, what is something that you see here that's different from my hand? There's something called webbing. So these animals have webbed feet. So what does that mean? What do you think an animal with webbed feet might do or might use it for? Great, that's wonderful. So we'll see exactly what this animal might use it for. But here's its front hand. It's not webbed. But what does each animal use this for? So we'll see that the first animal has a very soft, fleshy palm, but it has webbed feet. It also, on its front paws, have some nails. Now, what might these nails be used for? We'll see. Now, we'll take another look at a different animal paw print. This right here. Now, what do you think this might be used for? Is there any webbing in it? Is it what we call a fleshy palm like this one? Or even we have? Or is this a hoof? Now, before you say anything, let's see what other characteristics it might have. Does it have any claws? Not really. What about any fingers or thumbs? No. So that's right. This is a hoof. When a hoof has no claws, or when the foot has no claws and no fingers, then it's a hoof. But what might this be from? We'll look at other animals, then we can probably decide. Now, we have two more here. This is of the front claw, and this is of the back claw. Now, what might you think these are from? You see here that, are they webbed? Not really. There is some space between the toes. Now, is it a fleshy pad? Or is it a hoof? Yes, it's a fleshy pad, correct. Now, what about any claws? Look very closely. Do you see the claws here? Yes, it has claws. So, does the foot have any thumbs though? It has fingers, but does it have thumbs? So look at your hand and look at the paw print. Does it have a thumb? No. So this does not have a thumb. Now, look at your own hand. Is there webbing in between? No, that's correct. What about, does it have a fleshy pad? Yes. So your hand is not a hoof. What about claws? Do you have any claws? I don't have claws. This hand doesn't have claws. Now, what about fingers and a thumb? Yes, you guys have thumbs. The thumbs help us to pick up things, whether it's the paw print, this hand, or even a piece of paper. Thumbs help us grab different things. Now, if I said there are 4 different animals we discussed here, what would you say each paw print was to? If I said we had a beaver, a deer, a bobcat, and us humans, which one do you think we had? So the last one, of course, when I told you to look at your hand, we looked at a human hand. But what about this one? So beavers, which are aquatic, meaning they spend their life in water, they spend it on land too, but they swim in water. Wouldn't you think that this means that their webbing would help them do what? Swim. That's great. So the adaptation of the beaver is that they have webbed footing. This helps them swim through water to get wherever they're going and to bring their building material to build their homes. Because what are some interesting facts about beavers? Beavers live in what we call lodges, and that is where their homes are. So the homes are made into two different sections. One is an area where when they come out of the water, they can dry off, and they don't have to bring their wet body into what the second room is the living room, essentially. So the second part of the living room is where they just live their days. It's pretty much like how you and I live in our living rooms. That's their living rooms as well. Now, we saw on the webbed footing here, they also had something interesting on this one, the claws. Now, what might that be? That's for digging in the dirt. So when a beaver builds his home or its lodge, or even when they build what we beavers build is a dam, and that is a barrier that prevents water from flowing through. So what they'll do is they'll find a stream, they'll create this barrier or a dam, and they'll prevent the water from putting through. But mostly it's made out of sticks. Now if you put a bunch of sticks together, water might kind of run right through, right? So what they use these for is for digging in the mud. What they do is they'll grab a bunch of the mud and they'll kind of put it in the sticks almost as if it's cement. And that's how they create their dam and also their lodge to prevent the water from coming through. Now, we looked at another paw print, or what we decided was a hoof. Now, between the beaver and the deer and the bobcat and the human, what do you think this is? Yes, this is the deer. The deer have hooves. So they typically have what we would say is 2 toes. So you can see how there are 2 pieces to the hoof. Now, other animals besides deer also have hooves. Things like cows. There are other kinds of animals, including antelopes. They all have hooves. Even horses have hooves. But an interesting thing about horses and deer, on horses' hooves, it is all one piece, versus the deer here, which has 2 pieces. So these are called 2-toed, while something like a horse is 1-toed. Now we looked at the last one. We saw that the last one had a fleshy pad, but also had claws. Now, what do you think the claws are for? Yes, they are what we call carnivores. So this one is the bobcat. Now the bobcat essentially is a predator. So what it uses these claws for is to catch different prey, including maybe it's birds, maybe it's mice. They also love different things like squirrels or rabbits. So they'll use these claws to be able to catch the prey and then be able to consume it. As a predator, they need to be able to use their nails to catch them. But also, like your cat, if your cat likes to climb up on things, that's also a reason why they have claws, so they can get a good grip and be able to climb up on whatever they're climbing on, whether it's rocks or a tree. So we discussed 4 different examples of paw prints. We saw that the bobcats have sharp nails to help them catch, while hooves These are actually helpful for running because they are a large pad that can help them and run along. These, the beaver has webbed footing to help them swim. Now we'll look at, in humans we have the opposable thumbs to help us grab stuff. We're going to take a look at two other interesting paw prints. Now, here's an animal that has very interesting paw prints. So what can we decide? Is there webbing? No. Is it a hoof or does it have a fleshy pad? Yeah, it's a fleshy pad. Now, what about claws? Do you see any sharp claws? I'd say yes. This has some sharp claws. Now, what about a thumb? It has fingers, but does it have a thumb? It doesn't really have a thumb, but it is what we would classify as nimble, meaning it can use its thumb to hold on to different things, but it won't be able to grasp like we do. So if I grasp, let's say, this foot, I can actually hold it in, rather than other animals which have to kind of pick it up like that. So their thumb isn't really able to pick up as well as, or hold on to as well as we are. We'll discuss another animal which actually can hold on to things very much like us. But when we look at this, what's an interesting animal that may want to pick up its food and do something like wash it? So an interesting fact about this animal we'll discuss is it actually likes to wash its food before it eats. Now, what is something that kind of likes to eat whatever, and you may have it maybe in your backyard, kind of likes to get in the trash, sometimes has a mask on, it looks like, or its tail has different rings on, sometimes called a ringtail. That's a raccoon. Good, very good. So this animal is a raccoon, and what it does is it will use its hand and it'll just pick up different things. It will go to a creek or any kind of body of water and wash it off. That makes it almost clean. There's actually an interesting video of this raccoon going to water, and they found cotton candy. They put the cotton candy in the water, and what happens when you eat cotton candy? It disappears, it dissolves. There's a video of this raccoon going to the water, putting the cotton candy in the water, and it disappeared. So it's flopping around trying to figure out where its food went to. And it goes and grabs another piece of cotton candy, takes it to the water, disappears because it dissolved. So what they do is they'll take their little food, whether it's crayfish, or maybe it's fruit that they find, sometimes it's berries, or maybe they find something in the trash. What they'll do is they'll take it, clean it off, and then consume it. But what about this kind of paw print? Now, is it webbed? Not really. It has fingers. What about a hoof or a fleshy pad? No, it has a fleshy pad. It's not a hoof. Now, are there claws? No. Doesn't have claws. What about a thumb? Does it have a thumb like we do? Yes, it does have a thumb. Now, what is an animal that has a thumb like humans do? Good, monkeys. So this is actually a monkey paw. So monkeys have opposable thumbs like we do. That helps them to be able to run and grab different things like branches so they can swing on. Or if they're trying to climb trees, they can easily climb the trees. So when the bobcat needed to climb trees, it used its nails. Monkeys, what they do is they use their thumbs to grab hold of the branches. And that's how they climb trees. Now, something else about them is they have thumbs almost exactly like we do. They are one of the closest relatives to us. Now, the thumb and the fingers are all what we call opposable. Now, when we say opposable, that means that we can use them. So, a bunch of different animals, and these are all mammals, have different paw prints. Now, let's review. What did we learn about the beaver? What is an adaptation about the beaver? Remember these? Yes, it's the webbed feet. This helps them swim. Now, what is the adaptation about the deer? What's something about their feet? It's hoofed, so it helps them run. That's great. Now, what about the bobcat? What is the adaptations to them? Right, they have the nails, so the claws, so they can help climb. Now, what about let's say the monkey and the human? What's the adaptation that we have? Yes, it's the thumb. The thumb helps them grab hold of different things, whether it's the branch, and helps them swing. So, hope you learned a lot, and I hope you come to the farm and visit us soon. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.